Essex hit back with 3 late wickets after Jack's impresses on a batting day at the Oval. There was a tantalising game in prospect at the Oval as defending champions Surrey opened up their campaign against the champions from the year before, Essex. Essex were the only team to defeat the South London club last season, as Surrey deservedly claimed a first title since 2002. After winning the toss and opting to bat, Burns started well with a couple of leg-side boundaries off Porter. Surrey looked to be in full control on a good pitch for batting when Burns and Stoneman brought up their 50 partnership soon afterwards. The Surrey pair looked to be settling in well as they shared 3 boundaries from just 1 Quinn over. That before Porter made the breakthrough as he squared up Burns with a beauty that took a thin outside edge through to the lonely keeper Robbie White. Soon afterwards, Siddle struck twice in an over to first dismiss Stoneman, edging behind, and then 2 balls later, after Pope got off the mark with a beautiful off drive, Siddle had him edging to Lawrence at second slip. It marked a good comeback after a tame first hour from the Essex bowlers and meant honours were just about even as Surrey reached lunch at 86 for 3. From only the second ball after lunch, Siddle produced a beauty which Folkes could only edge towards the slip cordon, but fortunately for the England keeper, no one was able to claim a catch. Folkes was then able to add insult to injury, bringing the 100 up with a 4 off Siddle and then punching the Australian down the ground 2 balls later. Folkes was looking like he'd make his former county regret their generosity in giving him a life when he hit a succession of boundaries off Porter and Siddle. The England keeper was looking in imperious form in passing his 50 and moving towards the 100 partnership with Ryan Patel. But Harmer was able to make a vital breakthrough when he caused Folkes to edge one to Alistair Cook via the keeper White, ending a partnership of 95. 20-year-old Will Jack signalled his intent when he got off the mark with a mighty 6. And Jacks and Patel were able to keep their feet on the throttle, reaching tea undefeated on 22 and 40 respectively. After taking 36 balls to get off the mark, Ryan Patel was able to reach his 50 soon after tea with his 10th boundary, and Surrey looked to be putting Essex to the sword when Will Jacks brought up his own 50 from 59 balls with a 4. The 300 came up for Surrey as there were few signs of Essex breaking what was now a 119-run unbroken partnership. Jacks was unable to register what would have been a thoroughly deserved century though when he dragged a ball from Siddle onto his stumps to fall for an attacking 88. And Siddle was able to strike again in his next over when Clark played round 1 for a duck. That before the penultimate over where Essex were able to celebrate an excellent end to the day when Tom Curran fell LBW, this time to Harmer. Essex will hope to strike again in the morning and remove Surrey for less than 400, whilst the champions will hope Patel can push on to get his 100 as they look to cement their position in the game. The score at the close, Surrey 342 for 7. Patel impresses with debut century for Surrey before Lawrence fights back. Youngsters Will Jacks and Ryan Patel both impressed on day 1 with contrasting half-centuries as Surrey began their county championship defence with a day of positive batting at the Oval. There was an early wicket on day 2 as Siddle completed his 5-fer when Plunkett inside edged onto his stumps for a duck. With Patel continuing to hold firm at one end, Van der Berg came out intent on playing a few shots to see his team to maximum bonus points. But Siddle was able to claim his 6th wicket of the innings when he trapped Van der Berg in front for 16. That brought Morne Morkel to the crease with the twin ambitions of seeing Patel to his century and his team to 400. And Patel was able to reach a richly deserved maiden county championship 100 with a 4 and a 2 off Quinn, the 100 coming up off 277 balls. The 400 was not to be, however, as from the first ball of the next over, Morkel couldn't resist an attempt to bring up the landmark with a 6 off Harmer, but could only find Siddle at mid-on. Surrey all out then for 395. Cook and Brown started in circumspect fashion in the Essex reply as they looked to see their team through to lunch unscathed. Brown was able to hit Tom Curran for back-to-back boundaries. But Cook was the first to fall when Curran came around the wicket and produced a lovely delivery to take the outside edge, Folkes taking the catch diving forward. It was a double blow before the lunch break, as in the next over Morkel was able to trap Brown plumb LBW for 9. That was to leave the Essex innings in all sorts of bother going into the afternoon session. The score 21 for 2. Wesley and Lawrence responded well to the challenge in the early part of the afternoon session, with Wesley taking consecutive boundaries off Morkel's first over after the break, and Lawrence giving Plunkett some stick with a series of stylish boundaries. The Essex 100 came up as Wesley and Lawrence moved their partnership to 80, before Lawrence brought up an enterprising 50 off 76 balls soon afterwards. It took a brilliant catch from Ollie Pope in the gully to break the partnership before it reached 100, as Wesley tried to drive Curran off the back foot. That brought Rishi Patel to the wicket, and he made an immediate impression on debut with a series of stylish strokes. It was a shame, therefore, when he fell for 31 from 25 balls on the cusp of tea, a disappointing end to an innings full of promise, as Clark held on in the slips off Curran. 168 for 4, the score at the interval. After the break, Ryan Tenduscarter asserted himself early with some fluent boundaries as Essex moved beyond the 200 mark. But bad light was to intervene not long after 5 o'clock to end play early, with Lawrence 13 short of 100 and Essex on 201 for 4. He'll hope to move to his 100 and beyond on day 3, with Essex currently 193 runs behind, with those 6 first innings wickets still intact. Siddle stars with bat and ball but draw the favourite at the Oval. A maiden 100 from Ryan Patel and 3 wickets for Curran put Surrey in the box seat against Essex, but Dan Lawrence would begin day 3 just 13 runs from his own century. The Essex batsman looked to take the positive approach in the morning session, with skipper Ryan Tenduscarter hitting a number of boundaries to bring up the 50 partnership with Lawrence. 3 boundaries from a Tom Curran over moved Tenduscarter beyond his own half-century to 56 from 55 balls, before Lawrence fell 7 short of his century when he pushed a ball from Ricky Clark that swung away from him and edged to Burns at slip. And with the lunch break looming, the Essex skipper kicked on with back-to-back boundaries off Vandenberg before another pair of 4s, this time off Morkel, took him to a brilliant century from just 114 balls. That left Essex on 328 for 5 at the lunch interval after a brilliant morning's work with the bat. The 100 partnership between Loney keeper White and his skipper Tenduscarter came up soon after lunch, before Morkel made the breakthrough when he induced the thinnest of edges to end White's innings on 39. Harmer edged a couple of boundaries to frustrate the champions further before he got it all wrong and Ricky Clark rearranged his furniture. Essex had only added 2 runs when Plunkett claimed the key wicket of Tenduscarter with a big in-swinger, his first wicket in Surrey colours. Tenduscarter eventually falling for a vital 130 to leave Essex with 2 wickets left but still 10 runs behind. Essex did move into the lead when Porter drove Curran through the covers, and Siddle claimed a couple of boundaries of his own from a Morkel over as the tail wagged for Essex to bring up 400 and maximum bonus points. Morkel hit back with a short ball that Porter could only fend to jacks at short leg, but Siddle continued to frustrate the champions. Vandenberg was finally able to wrap up the innings when Quinn went to smash him out of the ground and was bowled. Siddle ending with a vital 41 not out to give his team a lead of 53 after they were dismissed for 448. Burns and Stoneman made a watchful start to their second innings, with the draw looking very much the favourite, but Stoneman picked up a couple of boundaries to move into double figures. They weren't batting with a great deal of urgency, but brought up the 50 partnership and moved Surrey back into the lead. All that before bad light ended play slightly early, with Surrey 68 without loss and a lead of 50. Burns and Pope get batting practice as Surrey and Essex draw. A watchful stand after tea from the Surrey openers took them back into the lead after Tendescarta's 100 had seen Essex pass the hosts in the first innings on day 3 at the Oval. Surrey began day 4 with both openers well placed on 34 apiece, but Siddle was able to make the breakthrough almost immediately when he uprooted Stoneman's off stump, the batsman out for 35. It turned into a double strike when in the very next over Patel fell for just a single when he miscued a pull-off Harmer to mid-on, Brown taking the catch. The champions' position was suddenly looking precarious, 2 down and only 18 ahead, but Pope calmed the nerves with a couple of lovely cover drives off Harmer. Burns was able to bring up his half-century with a 4 of his own off Harmer, and runs began to flow freely, Pope motoring along, a 4 and a 6 off Quinn taking him to 34 in no time. Burns also began to find the boundary with regularity. Pope brought up an imperious half-century from only 59 balls with another cover drive, this time off Porter. The 100 partnership duly arrived soon afterwards with the lead up to 122 as lunch approached, with Surrey's wobble of the early morning long forgotten. The interval arrived, Surrey 185 for 2 and in control with skipper Burns 88 not out, looking to complete a century in the afternoon session. Pope was also looking to press on after lunch with a cut for 4 off Siddle, but an entertaining knock was brought to an end for 69 off 80 balls when Pope miscued a slog sweep off Harmer and picked out Porter. In his next over, Harmer accounted for Burns, caught at bat pad by Tendescarta just 2 shy of his 100. That left Surrey 4 down and 150 ahead. Folkes got off the mark with a 6 off Harmer, and Will Jacks also looked to find the boundary. The game seemed to be meandering towards a draw, but Harmer struck for his 4th wicket of the day when Folkes was stumped by opposite number White for 19. Tea arrived with Jacks unbeaten on 35, his team 216 ahead, with the game petering out to a draw. No declaration was in sight at tea as Surrey settled in for some more batting practice, with Jacks lofting Harmer back over his head for 6. Another maximum off the same bowler brought up Jacks' 2nd half-century of the game. But 2 balls later he went for the same shot again, but this time found Wesley on the long-on boundary. The Surrey youngster out for 54. The declaration bowlers were on for Essex, and Curran duly helped himself to back-to-back 6s and a 4 off Westley. Surrey were then waved in at 324 for 6 to set a nominal target of 272. However, before Essex batted a single over, the captain shook on a draw at 5 o'clock. The champion Surrey then taking 8 points from this one, Essex moving on with 6.